Wait for the indicator. Press play. Oh, yes. Oh, I didn't even put it on Twitter, but that's alright. We're just gonna go and do it. Oh, yes. Yet another pirate broadcast. Woo! Hello, America. And today with me, I have a special guest. The Roguish Bard.
Yes, very special today.
She's not here in the game, but she's here in Discord. So, this is a very special episode.
Whatever consciousness I have today.
Well, have you absorbed any of the news of the insane things going on in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, but I feel like it's too clouded by so many different discussions that I think like nobody's actually, or not nobody, but very few people have just given the straight facts, and those that have like spread it over so many, for instance, so many videos, so many, outlets of their medium, that it's hard to just get the straight story without all of the, well, what does this actually mean? What would it look like? Why hasn't it been something brought up sooner? As far as them actually, going for it. There are just so many discussions.
So, well, the question you asked was, why didn't they go for it sooner?
No. I just mean, I think I have an okay sense of that, but that's one thing that people always bring up, because so we're talking about the potential impeachment, the impeachment inquiry, and a lot of people feel like, well, we've been wanting this forever, and some other people go, they just won't quit trying, will they?
Quit trying? What do you mean, quit trying? Yeah, no kidding. No. The Russians are always going at it.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, Trump supporters. And it's not even necessarily exclusive to him and his supporters. Like, any president that has come up for this, there have been the people who are like, well, that's not something we should really be dedicating our time and energy to. I was actually watching something.
Who said earlier. That? Well, okay, wait. So their argument is that impeachment is not something we should be dedicating our time and energy to. Is that what the argument is?
It's the general feeling that's coming behind it. There are people who just think that it's a party thing, and some people actually do use it as a party thing, to just, well,
fundraise. Yeah, Trump raised 13 million. Like, after it was announced that he was, after Nancy Pelosi made the announcement, Donald Trump sent out an email about it and made money off of it.
But I'm talking political parties. There are people who feel that all it is you're my enemy because you're the other side.
But the thing is, but we know that's wrong, right? That's a wrong.
We know that that's wrong, but there are people who do think that all it is about one side of politics versus the other side of politics.
But you can't help what are you going to do about the wrong people? I mean, what do you want me to do? Like, they're wrong. Like, the facts say otherwise. But if they don't want to listen to the facts, that's on them. I can't change that.
So then what's the discussion?
Of today?
Just when you bring up that topic, what's the discussion? If there's nothing to be said about the people who oppose it, then where are you discussing anything?
So, well, people don't. A lot of people, I think, don't even know what's going on. like you say, there's just a lot, and it's very complex. And then, so what they need is it to be distilled, and to cut out some of the BS and just get straight to it. So what happened? Okay, so what happened? Let's see. Today. Was it today that it happened? Was it this morning? Like, I don't even know. That's how much it all blends together. I think it was today, this morning. The acting DNI, Director of National Intelligence, who's way up there in terms of like being in the government. He only has one other boss, which is the government, which is the president. He's on top of it, right? Okay. So the guy who was the guy who was the DNI before was a guy named Dan Coates, and he was a cool guy. Like he served his country well. He was in service. He was doing this for a long time. And then something happened. I think he was at odds with the Trump administration, so he resigned. So the person who was supposed to take charge, I forgot her name, but this person was supposed to take charge by law. But Trump circumvented the law, because he's done this before. He circumvented the law to install his own person that he picked, and he's done this throughout the government, where he forces out the correct person, and instead of the correct successor taking place, he installs his own acting person instead. And people have tried to challenge him on that, but the laws are conflicting. There's two different sets of laws. So it's all of this is being worked out in court, but that takes a long time. And in the meantime, Trump acts as if he's already got it.
Well, I mean, that's usually his take on anything.
Yeah,
as far as like that confidence and everything.
Yeah. So what he did is he kicked out the acting, like the same thing was supposed to happen with the Attorney General. Like there was supposed to be an order of succession after Jeff Sessions left, and Donald Trump installed some other guy. I only know him as Big Dick Salesman. Big Dick Toilet Salesman is what he is. What I heard. His nickname from Empty Wheel gave him that nickname, and I think it works really well. Big Dick Toilet Salesman. Like, who needs a big dick toilet? Someone who thinks they have a big dick. So if you're a salesman, who your job is to convince a person that they have a big dick and that they need this toilet to pump up their ego. You see what I mean? Your job is to pump up their ego. So Matt Whittinger, that's his name, was that guy. He wasn't qualified at all to be Attorney General, but Trump put him in place anyways, just to pump up his ego, which he did, and to cover up, to do whatever Trump wanted him to do, which was cover up, until they can get AG Barr. And Barr is a bad guy. He has a history of bad guy. But anyways, that's besides the point. Trump purposely circumvents the legal process of succession in order to install his own lackeys. And that's what he did with the DNI. It was going to go from Dan Coates to this other person. I can look it up real quick. Order DNI, order of succession. Dan Coates, and then who's next? Okay, so yeah, it's supposed to be Dan Coates, and it's supposed to go to this other woman, Susan Gordon, who's a patriot. She's great. All right, but Susan Gordon and Donald Trump were not on the same page, and so Susan Gordon basically was fired by she resigned because that's the nice way of saying you've been fired. And instead instead the job went to his lackey, which is whoever the acting DNI is. Who is the acting DNI? Current acting DNI. The current acting DNI is named let's see. McGuire?
That kind of sounds right.
Joseph McGuire is the acting DNI. That's Trump's handpicked lackey. So they put this acting director in, DNI, who's director of national intelligence. Okay, so a while ago, there was a whistleblower in the intelligence community, a whistleblower who and there's a legal process you go through when you want to blow the whistle on someone. So this person went through the legal process. And the legal process, you have to go to the Inspector General. And the Inspector General reads your complaint, and then the Inspector General follows through and interviews all the people in the complaint. And then says, all right, is your complaint valid, of a real complaint? And if it is, then the Inspector General hands it off to the highest guy they can hand it off to, which is the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, which is right now the acting dude, Joseph McGuire. This DNI reads the complaint and he takes it to Trump. Trump tells him to bury it. So acting DNI just sits on it. Now, by law, the DNI has to go to Congress within a week of an urgent, thing, which the IG said it was urgent. And instead of going to Congress, the acting DNI buried it, just hid it, just didn't talk about it. So then, after that, the whistleblower is like, uh-oh, things are wrong. What do I do? And that's when it went to Congress. And that's when it got out into the press that, oh, there's this whistleblower that wants to speak. So Trump's that's when we found out that Trump's dude, acting DNI, was hiding of a really real serious complaint.
But, so why did he have going through your retelling of events, so why did he have the moment of, oh, now now we have trouble, let's actually give it to Congress? Why would he?
Because I think it was an attorney for the whistleblower contacted Congress and said, hey, we're gonna, if
there was something that was gonna hit with the complainant that.
Yeah,
so
they were gonna.
He couldn't sit on it anymore because the person was actually going to
the press
do something else.
Yeah, they were leaking it. It was leaking. The contents of the complaint were going to leak if they didn't, if the acting DNI didn't act on it. So Congress got this and said, no, don't leak it, because you want to keep your whistleblower protections. Don't leak it. Instead, we're going to go through the normal process. And so they summoned the acting DNI, Congress, to the committee, the House Committee of Intelligence or whatever, to explain, why are you doing this? Why are you sitting on this complaint? So that's what happened this morning. The acting DNI, Joseph McGuire, went before Congress. Chairman Schiff and all the Democrats got to question him, why are you doing this? And we find out that first of all, he wouldn't say anything. He stonewalled. He said executive privilege, which he can't do, right? He cannot do this because it's not his to say that. It's the president's to say it.
Yeah.
So he can't do that, but he's trying to, and Congress has pretty much let all of those people do that so far. I mean, they might be going through court, but again, court takes a long time, so they don't care, right? You know, it takes a long time. So, here, I'm gonna go this way. So, so he says, no, I can't tell. I'm not gonna tell you executive privilege, which is bullshit. But he says it. Okay, and then, later on, he gets pressed again, and he says, yeah, like the president and I talked about the whistleblower. Right after he said he wasn't gonna talk about it, he talked about it. So you know they talked about it for sure, and that well, he's covering it up.
To do that resistance in any situation, to give that little bit of resistance, makes it so that when you've been doing something for somebody that you're not supposed to, you can at least kind of save face that, well, I didn't want to do it. You remember, I told them no the first time, but then they, dragged it out of me, basically.
Well, no, because look remember, the dude sat on the complaint. The acting director. So, I mean, he's basically serving Trump, not the law.
Yeah, but then something probably got brought up to him where it's like, hey, you either actually drop this information or we're going to go ahead and put a lot of things on you. So, I mean, like, he probably had some kind of deal that got put to him.
Well, no, because when, Congress has inherent contempt. They can jail you if you refuse to answer a question. And it hasn't been used in a long time, but like when it's like this, people are screaming for it to be used.
So you bringing up that also makes me wonder, what do you think is up with it being almost, I mean, it seems like it's 100% supported. What do you think that says? That it just seems like beyond party dynamics that everybody's kind of supporting it as far as Congress and everything?
What do you mean?
The impeachment.
No, not everyone supports it. The Republicans are opposed to it.
But the inquiry, when it came to a vote, almost everybody voted for it.
That was for the complaint to come out.
I know, but that's what I mean. That's what I was really meaning. But normally, no matter what, they wouldn't all be siding on it.
Yeah, so that's Republicans beginning to like jump ship.
Is that what you think it is, or do
you
think that there's? Or do you think the document's been restricted on what's really being revealed?
Why do I think Trump is trying to hide it?
No. I mean, when they're saying yes, we'll release it to the public, do you think they've already had a chance to restrict what's actually going to be revealed?
Yeah, it's been lightly redacted.
Lightly redacted. I can't imagine things being lightly redacted.
Well, lightly redacted means there's redactions, they're just not a whole bunch.
I know what it means. I do it for my job. But I mean, I just can't imagine in this kind of situation the sort of compliance between everybody that's going on. It just, for people to be so gung-ho that he's done nothing wrong, a while ago, this is ridiculous, it's a witch hunt. The Republicans.
Because they're all complicit. They're all.
But then for them to for them to go along with something like this to be released, it's almost suggesting to me that maybe there's nothing to it.
What? No, there's absolutely. I mean, Rudy Giuliani, because they threw him under the bus. The Trump administration
threw him. Troll.
They threw him under the bus. They said that he went as a private lawyer to do all this stuff in Ukraine, and that it wasn't connected at all to the government whatsoever. They threw him under the bus. And so Rudy Giuliani is like, no, if I'm going down, you're not going to throw me under the bus. If I go down, you go down. So Rudy Giuliani is posting on Twitter screenshots of texts that he has of all these people saying stuff. So, and what he did is...
Okay, I didn't hear about Giuliani.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't even be the first person that's been thrown under the bus that didn't bother, like, putting up a fight.
Yeah, no. Now Rudy Giuliani is fighting back. I don't think Omarosa had anything. Like, she had those...
All she had was TV appearances.
Yeah, but she worked in the White House, but she didn't really get anything. Because I think she dropped her entire load already.
No, I don't want to get too far into it, but all she wanted was a certain demographic of people to accept her and see her in a more positive light than they had ever before, which was none. They didn't see her in a positive light at all. And she knew she had potential TV appearances by suggesting, I've got this, because I wanted to listen to her, but then when nothing really ever came about, I was just like, yeah, no, that's what it was about. She knew that she didn't have anything else to get herself in the press.
Well, Giuliani is trying to get himself out of, well, not get himself out of jail, but take down other people. That's what makes it so interesting. You can...
And it's sad when we kind of depend on somebody doing that, because it's kind of deep down, it's kind of a nasty thing to do, to be like, well, I did something wrong and I'm being held up for it, but while I'm being held up for it, let me name a whole bunch of other people who, have different levels of participation.
Well, you know, right? You already know. No honor amongst thieves. You already know.
Why do you say it like that? That makes it sound like I'm a bad person.
No, I was just saying you already know. You're not a rogue. I mean, you might have those tendencies, but like...
The way you said it, though, was like, you've done that.
No.
Throw people under the bus. It's like, no, actually, I'm usually the one that's thrown under the bus.
Oh, I didn't mean it accusingly. Like, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. But I just meant, like, knowingly, like, yeah, you know what's up. I mean, yeah, because you're a roguish bard.
But, yeah, no, I mean, sometimes we need those people to do that.
To what? To
start naming
backstab?
Names and...
Yeah, well, that's what they're that's what they are. That's what they do intrinsically. They're a bunch of... It's a snake pit, a backbiting snake pit. Like, they hate each other, and they try to destroy each other to raise themselves. And yeah,
it's what we've been waiting for, though, is that we've been waiting for him to just, like, do the wrong thing or make just the wrong move that slights somebody else in his circle, and for them to go, no more. But I think we overestimated a lot of other people's integrity. And unfortunately, what's making Giuliani do it, I can only say this for what I've seen of him in the last several years. I don't know, as when I was younger, I was not paying as much attention to like his level of like running New York and things like that. I wasn't aware what he was like back then, but the last several years, it's his lack of integrity that's actually making him go for it.
Yeah, he never had integrity. He was always a bad guy. Like, he milked 9/11 so bad.
That's true. I do remember a lot of people hating him about
Rudy
that.
9/11.
I mean, yeah, there's been so many people where it's like, oh man, he, let you take the bullet for him. Don't you want to like turn on him? No, the president's a great guy. I made mistakes. And it's like, not comparatively, really. So why aren't you taking the opportunity? It's like, no, I think they all still thought that there was something where he might throw a favor, back at them.
Or there's compromise. There are compromise.
Yeah.
They have blackmail material.
Oh gosh, yeah. I never really think about what people have on each other.
Yeah, dude, they got blackmail. That's why, they're not loyal. I mean, that's what the Russians have on Trump. That's how they keep Trump in line. And I'd love to know the blackmail that's on Trump. Have you seen the
really?
Trump P tape? Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, dude.
I know that there was the whole report about it, and people were like, "Oh, this isn't real." That's as far as I know about that topic. And as far as seeing it, I don't ever want to see it. I'll take like a really brief, like, well, this is what it is. I'm good.
I've seen it. Nah.
Why?
Okay. I've seen what it purports to be, the P tape. What purports to be the P tape.
We are no longer in a like LimeWire, I'm gonna download something and oops, find out that it's something else day and age. So you had to have purposely.
Okay, so I linked it off of it's from an article. Well, yeah, it was from an article. It was from an article that was talking about like is it possible that the P tape, the real P tape, has been out here the entire time? Because it's been uploaded to like some place and just forgotten about. and because everyone assumed it was fake. Everyone thought it was fake. But then this guy like really went into detail with it and is like, what, this is, it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible that this thing is real, that it's actually there. It was actually taken at the Ritz-Carlton. You can actually see pee coming out. Like the way the light comes down is the same way that the ceiling arrangements are done. The wallpaper pattern's the same. Everything is the same.
Okay.
So it's like, like even if someone went to the trouble of staging a fake stage, they went through a whole lot of trouble.
Okay.
But it's grainy enough because it's a like a handheld like cell phone video of a monitor or something, right? So it's not even a full so it's grainy. So yeah, it's possible that's fake, but it could be real.
So somebody video recorded it on their phone of a screen
TV show.
Monitor.
Yeah.
And on the monitor was
this
the alleged video.
Yes. And so you only get snippets of it because it doesn't show the whole video. But clearly it's a long video, but we only got to see parts of it.
So who was recording?
I don't know.
I would wonder, okay, so there was this person. They got a copy of the video, and then they were recording it on their phone. Why?
Or it was shown to them, and they couldn't take the video with them, but they could take a phone recording. Or maybe the phone recording was done on the sly, so that's why it wasn't very good quality or very good orientation, because you're trying to...
So you're saying this person is not a professional cam
it could be anything.
For theaters.
We have no idea, right? We have no idea. It could be anything. It could be a fake video. I don't know. But the thing is that there's compromise, right? It exists of Trump for sure. There's blackmail, and I believe that's one of the reasons why Epstein's dead is because he had blackmail and Trump. Like he had blackmailed a lot of people. Epstein.
I would say it doesn't even have to necessarily be blackmail. He helped Trump do what we can probably have a good guess were some bad things.
Well, yeah, and so he can name names.
Even having that information and then being in a position where he was going to be forced to share that information.
Yeah, compromise on Trump. Yep. Compromise. Compromat. Compromise the information.
So, what I have not heard anybody just really focus in on, they kind of talk about it in the big, broad spectrum of things, is what exactly happened with Ukraine and the president.
Okay, wow. Okay, so Ukraine is sort of like the guinea pig for Russia. Russia does all this bad stuff.
I know that their turbulent relationship, yeah.
Okay. So Congress passed a law that says, okay, well, we will sell arms, give weapons to... Basically, we're going to give you a block of money, and with this money, you're going to buy American weapons. And with the American weapons, you're going to fight off the Russians who are invading you. And that was, that's what Congress said. So along the way, as the money was being delivered, Trump intercepts the money and says, all right.
Yeah, and he's going to hold it.
Yeah, you need to do something for me before I give you this money.
Now, what I've kind of been hearing is that he specifically wanted to look in on Biden.
Yeah, he wants to dig up any kind of dirt he can on Biden.
And see, I find that kind of interesting because I would think at this point in the race, he wouldn't see Biden as his biggest challenge anymore.
But he does, because he's a narcissist and he's a male chauvinist. So he doesn't think Warren is dangerous at all.
Well, I understand that, because he'd probably pull just the same things he did to Hillary.
Well, that's what this whole thing is. That's what he's doing to.
But what I've been hearing is that he would not necessarily. I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, he's scared." It's like, no, I don't think it's necessarily scared as much as he would not know what tactics to pull against Sanders.
Oh, yeah, because he's got so much integrity.
Sanders would give him way too much fight back.
Yeah. And
his policies hold up, though. It's almost suspicious how immaculate they seem to be. And he's not afraid to yell, and I love it that he's not afraid to curse. I love it when I hear Bernie just... I don't know. How do you feel about cursing on your...
I try not to.
Okay, then I won't.
Yeah.
But I love it because... Not because it's like, whoa, he's down to earth, he's cursing. It's more like sometimes he's talking about things where there's almost no other words. Things are that bad, and he's not afraid to say, this is bad. This is how bad I think it is. It doesn't deserve nicer words, and we need to do something about it. And I think there are a lot of people that would appeal to because it makes him seem a little more down to earth and real in terms of a politician. But But yeah, I just like how he doesn't. And I mean, I could spend probably a whole hour of time in the morning, some morning just going on and on about what I like about him, but just being very basic the way some people are, where they're just like, well, I like Warren because she's a woman. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Well, I like Bernie because he's willing to show you how angry he is about things. Because anger
It's a gift.
is something. Well, sometimes it's something that a lot of politicians try and like, oh, I can't get angry. It's like, well, then I don't know if you care. Like, sometimes you do have to show a little anger to show you actually care. And I know that's now I'm like listening to that. I'm like, that could go really toxic very fast.
I mean,
where
Trump...
somebody's like, I'm only angry because I care. It's like, oh God, no. but I mean, when you're talking about like in a professional setting and you're still conducting yourself professionally, but to show what happened here upsets me. Like, people need to see that human side, that you can actually genuinely get upset. And I like that he's obviously upset. He actually cares about things. He's not just like, well, this is what I need to support in order to get people to support me. It's like, no. He, actually is upset that people have to deal with all the things that they deal with. But so for Trump to be leaning into like, oh, I gotta combat Biden. It's like, really? You don't feel like you already have enough to combat Biden? I guess because there's so many things where Biden seems very centrist, and Trump probably doesn't. I mean, he's probably like,
well,
I don't care.
He's
that
another
much
white guy.
Yeah, he's another white guy. He's had some questionable things, especially in terms of women and minorities. And Trump's probably
Trump
like, well, I was gonna say, and Trump's probably like, well, I don't care.
Yeah,
that's fine. So it's not something that Trump can bring up, because then people would go, wait, what? You calling the kettle black?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of as far as like why he would be trying to get help on that. The disturbing, unethical nature of the way he sought it being, the whole issue. But also just Biden? Really? That's the person you want help against? Because I don't think he's the one that's coming for you. And I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be Sanders. I think it will.
You think it's going to be Sanders? It looks like Warren is the one going to be going up.
Only in like the Midwest, and that's because a lot of people are very ignorant to the idea that she is just female Sanders, and she's not. She's great, but I think Sanders is the best.
I mean, yeah, I like both. I prefer Sanders, but my main problem with Sanders is his age.
It's interesting that you bring that up. One, because Trump got voted and he's not that much younger. And if people are like, well, I'm going to vote him back in, they're also agreeing that, he's not that much younger and I'm still going to vote him in. Warren is not that much younger than him. So, I mean, granted, she's probably a full term's worth of years younger than him. But what difference does that really make? Like, they're just, most of those people who are actually in the top are all the same. Like, they're all in the same age group. Why does 5 years make that big of a difference? It's ridiculous. And the last person that started bringing up age to me with a candidate said that they really liked Pete Buttigieg, and the only thing that they could really say is they were really interested in having somebody so young hit such a position. And it's like, he's only been elected as mayor. We don't even know what he's like as a politician. Why would you want to put him there? And now as time goes on, obviously he's falling behind because people are starting to realize, oh, he's actually made some decisions that a lot of us don't agree with. Like, here's a thought. Just because you belong to one minority group doesn't mean you support other minority groups. Because I think a lot of people were like, oh man, he's a service member, he's out, you know, he's married with a husband, like, he's, you know, he's just got this very nice thing going, you know, I mean, let's be real. There's probably a lot of people out there that were like, but he's still a man, and he's still white, but he's got just that dash of being in another group, and playing the identity politics. But yeah, he's made some very questionable decisions when it's come to especially his police force and the way things are handled for minorities. So I definitely think he's already kind of getting pushed out, but for people to so blindly support him, and I'm sure there, you know, it's kind of sad, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who are really just, he's out, and that's nice, and that'd be good. We could have the first gay president. Wouldn't that be nice? And it's like, no, we need to stop going, oh, a woman president, oh, a gay president, and just focus on who actually cares. The quality of the candidate. Yeah, who actually cares about the most people. And that's another thing, is I'm not comfortable with the things I keep learning about Warren, where, you know, she seems to be talking way too much to Hillary, and I realize before Obama took office, the biggest thing against her was a lot of people didn't show her very much respect given Bill's behavior. But nowadays, it's like, you know that she just has way too many problems behind her, and they're not all just fabricated by the other parties. Some of them are just her problems. Why would you like dig that hole for that advice when that advice didn't serve that person with a very long history?
I don't know. See, I don't agree here. I don't see any problem with her talking to Hillary Clinton. She can talk to whoever she wants. Hillary Clinton is, I think, is fine.
It's gonna make her lose.
No, it's not.
The thing is, no. So you don't think, with all the hate that people had only towards Hillary Clinton, that made them actually, I know people, it's sick, but I know people who openly were like, I like Bernie Sanders, and then as soon as he wasn't there to vote for, they were like, well, I'm voting Trump now.
Okay, so those people, yeah, I mean, but they never, you know, they never really liked Bernie. They were not about Bernie. People were not about Bernie.
They hated Hillary. Some of them, were just sexist.
And that's the thing. Yeah, they were never about Bernie, right? They say vote for. No.
Some
but
of them,
listen.
They would. There's one guy where he is almost liberal in a number of ways, but the one subject that if you bring it up too much, he can get very snotty about women. Like, if you talk about, like, for instance, I'll talk sometimes about my work environment, and he'll say, like, oh, well, you know what, some of it's, probably because you're young and female and you just gotta climb the ladder a little harder.
How old is this guy?
But,
what? Like...
Oh, he is older. But then when I bring up, well, most of my coworkers are female, he's like, well, females are not always the best people to be working with, especially when they're of, like, the profession of, and he'll, name some more highly educated professions, and he just has I think some of it comes from when he was getting closer to retirement. He found that he was no longer really qualified for the work that he was doing, like, because it required more education. But I also think he was seeing a lot of women actually getting brought up into the workplace and given more prominent positions. And I think he tied the two things mentally together, where it was like, well, he's losing out on his job, and then there's all these women in power. And so I think...
Who is this person that you're talking about, by the way?
It's a friend's father.
So... yeah, I don't know. I'm uncomfortable talking about stuff like this.
Well...
Because I'm like, is she talking about me? Am I unqualified for my job? I start freaking out.
It shows that they're real people, that they're not just these trolls on the internet, that there were people who were like, well, I like Bernie. And I mean, that's all I knew of them until Bernie was out. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't like that woman. Yeah. I don't like her.
Thing is, but the thing is, remember, the person who said I like Bernie doesn't like Bernie. He likes chaos. And then, that's the only reason why you would vote for Trump if you couldn't vote for Bernie. Because Trump and Bernie represent opposite things. But if you're not, Bernie is disruptive.
That he is. But I still wouldn't necessarily say that he's chaotic.
Well, disruptive.
Chaotic.
For sure.
He's chaotic to the establishment, but for the people, he wouldn't be a source of chaos.
No, yeah. But he's disruptive. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's going to be chaos because the system has to handle Bernie, going wild. Bernie goes, what are you going to do, macho man, when Bernie goes wild on you?
And Warren's also made a few decisions, such as her voting to extend Trump's military power.
When? What?
Yeah, there was something where it was for the wasn't it it was either the defense or the military budget, and she was one of them that voted in support of giving him the funding that he was asking for, and then it turned out that it was even more than what he was asking for.
I don't know about this.
Let me look it up really quick, because I know it's been coming out a lot lately as something against her. You can go on, and I'll just, share an article with you once I find it.
No, I mean, it's just that, well, let's see, what was I talking about? Where were we at? Warren, I think Warren's fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too... Oh, yeah, your friend who said, oh, yeah, I'm not going to vote. If I can't vote for Bernie, I'm going to vote for Trump. That person was never for Bernie. They were for chaos. One way or the other. So, yeah. They're not as enlightened as they think they are. Okay, so I gotta work this out here. This has to be a detector rail, and so does this.
And I will note, it's unfortunate, but it is the first thing that pops up if you type in Warren votes.
Okay, hold on. I wanna do this real quick. Fail. Okay. What is it? What did I say? Warren votes?
It was the first, the autofill thing.
For yours, Google mine's different. I don't know. I don't know what yours. Okay. But what are you looking at? I don't know what you're looking at.
I put a link in Discord.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Elizabeth Warren votes for a massive increase of war budget. I mean, that was just the first one. There were a lot of articles about it.
So
it was back in 2017.
Oh, yeah, the largest defense. They voted for the defense thing to go.
Mm-hmm. You know, and people go, one, we don't want that portion of our national budget to get increased. That's one of the few things that we could really cut back on. And two, for whichever president, you really want to give this one a higher budget, and a higher budget than he even asked.
Oh no! Sorry, I fell in Minecraft in a bad spot. Oh, jeez. See if I can save myself. So, you know what? I'm not going to fault Warren for that. Like, everyone else voted for that budget. I'm sure Bernie Sanders didn't.
I was going to say, he didn't.
But he's an independent.
Well, but that's the thing, is we have opportunities to not give people just
a vote for...
Well, I'm sure I'm sure we won't have to see anything like that again. I'm sure the next time there's a decision that's similar, we can expect a better one. And the thing is, when people aren't held to task for things, and
so you wanna withhold your support? Oh my God, to Warren.
No, I have always supported Sanders, and there are people who think that Sanders and Warren are just male and female, and they feel like there's an opportunity to just vote a female, and then we have that breakthrough. And the thing is no, you got to look deeper into their policies, and if her policies versus hers work better for you, you know, I do firmly believe then that's the way you should vote. And I don't feel like we should feel pressure to constantly be looking at what'll beat Trump. The main thing that will really get us to beat him is if people actually care and think when they're voting. I don't know if he would have won if more people had actually turned out and not just gone, there's no chance he'll win, so I don't have to worry about it. She's got
Trump?
it. No, there were a lot of people who also didn't vote.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying I'd rather have a bunch of people vote for what they believe in, even if it's, for the primaries and everything, even if they vote for somebody different than me. I'd rather that they go out and vote.
Yeah, participate in democracy. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I'm not saying that like, oh, it's stupid to like this person if you've actually thought about their policies. What's stupid is to go, well, she's a woman, and then to misconstrue her policies as being the exact same as somebody else when they're not. Like, if you like Sanders' policies, then you should be voting for him. If you like Warren's policies, you should be voting for her.
That's why I don't like...
But you should not...
So there was there was a poll done recently where people were asked, well, who their first choice candidate is and who's their second choice candidate is.
And they were all over the place.
Yeah, no, Warren ended up winning, being the
yeah, but that's because people are all over the place. Like, there were a lot of people that had her as, like, for instance, they would have had her as, like, their second choice, but then, like, had somebody like Kamala Harris as their first, and their policies are not the same. They're not that close that Kamala should be your first and Warren your second.
Well, I don't know why people would, people have all sorts of reasons for
things
supporting.
Like identity politics. A lot of them were like, well, I like this strong female presence. I want us to have a woman. And that is one way where I will say that is stupid.
People are gonna vote the way they vote. I don't know.
I'd rather care about getting health care and maybe some debt forgiveness, especially considering I pay mine on time every month and it still kills me. And I have been ripped off for it because there was one point where it was 22% of my take-home income was what they set my minimum to.
Oh my God.
As an income-based repayment plan. That's what it came out to. I was taking home about $1,800 and they were saying, yeah, you should pay $400 and something minimum.
Oh my God.
Towards your loan. Yeah. So
dude, that's insane.
So student debt for at least a little while was almost killing me. And then the article came out saying that the loan repayment, the debt collector, that they had been found to be doing some unethical practices in trying to get people basically to default on their loans.
Oh, so they're trying to get you to quit, to default?
They're trying to get you, to default, and then you end up owing more, and then you're ruined. And the thing
so they're like loan sharks.
Well, and then the thing is that after I heard about that, then suddenly when I submitted a new income-based repayment plan, I had a raise at work, but my loan payment almost went down half. So they realized what.
No, they didn't realize doing. Nothing. The law was.
No. But no, I'm saying the. I forget who it was that did like the inquiry into their practices, but they found out what these places were doing. And the places before anything came up against them were like, well, let's actually maybe not do this so much. But that was ruining me.
Yeah.
And it's not
you told me it was designed to ruin you.
And it's not like I got any kind of credit back saying, oh, well, you were paying, responsibly, and you're paying way more than a person should be expected to pay.
I had no idea that they were doing that. That's awful. That they try to get you to default.
I mean, that's the result, is that when you're paying almost 30%, a quarter of my take home, not even my gross, a quarter of my take home. then yeah. And then, you think about it, that you keep getting the interest, and when you pay smaller amounts, it, goes to less of your principal. So you're having that debt for longer. Like, I would rather it actually amount to something that I've been paying it responsibly since I graduated. For a while, when I was living with roommates, I was paying way more. Like, I was paying a hefty amount trying to get it down. I was on track to be done with it in like 5 years. And then when I was out on my own, I just couldn't afford to do that anymore. So yeah, I'd rather, instead of it being some debt forgiveness or some more affordable school, I'd rather it just not really be a thing anymore. I'm sure, given our work, that, I have health care, but I'm not going to go and pay the out of pocket. Like, I still can't afford the out of pocket. And then even just to take the time, it's not like there's no coverage, but coverage is so difficult that I feel worse. Like, this week, I took Monday off. I was feeling awful. I took Monday off. Coming back into work, it was just a mess. Like, I almost thought, like, I might as well have just come in on Monday feeling awful, because at least I'd be getting my work done.
Because, you're so backed up. And you're responsible for everything plus everything you missed.
Yeah. I mean, there is coverage, but it is minimal because everybody has their own work. So, yeah, I'd rather focus on somebody who's looking to change those things. And everybody kind of has said that they are for looking at the climate, but I only feel it sincere from a few of them. And it's not like I can sit here and list off, like, yeah, I don't think that person's sincere. Yeah, I think that person's sincere. It definitely comes out more when I actually listen to them talk about it.
Well,
it's
okay,
like,
here.
Yeah, that doesn't sound sincere.
How about this? Trump wants to, is blaming California for homelessness. And it's Trump administration is looking for ways to solve homelessness, but not solve homelessness, but to deal with homeless people like they're an eyesore.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that's not coming on us, given that we're so nicely temperate that we do have a large homeless population, but it's not the state's fault. I mean, the state is probably the place that they're most likely going to survive. And have you heard of the new, was it sit and lay regulations that they're putting out? Where
no.
They don't want people camping anymore. They don't want people
Salem?
in definitely in Salem, but I think in Oregon. They
criminalize homelessness.
They don't want them in front of storefronts. That's
fascist.
Thing. And what was happening, what I was reading, because I'm part of this network where people kind of share what's happening directly in the neighborhood, is a lot of people were posting about how, I have my little campsite. I try and keep it clean all the time. I just have my tent. I pack up my stuff. I put it on my back. I'm not trying to be that, I'm not trying to put myself in danger, but I'm also not trying to be that visible to bother people. And the cops still come around and tell me that I have so much time to get out of here. And they've even been doing it to the point where people have to leave their tents and their stuff behind because the cops are just, get out of here.
Like, leave now. Yeah.
And it just, specifically like that one story where it's like, hey, I try and keep what I'm doing as little intrusive and as little offensive in any kind of mess or anything that I create, and yet I'm being told I have to basically go find places to hide. And when you go find places to hide, especially homeless, and I'm sure it doesn't help to be a homeless woman, I'm just setting myself up to be attacked in the dark. And I mean, all I can think about are like the little houses, the little homes,
tiny homes.
That it doesn't even take that much, and some people like doing it as a hobby, and it's just like, why can't we take some of our military budget and put it towards some, like, have you seen the images of converted, what is it, like storage crates?
Oh yeah. Oh, I wouldn't want to live in those. Those are awful.
No, they like convert them into they convert them into apartments.
I know, but it just looks like it's awful. Like the walls, yeah, just I don't know.
I don't think you've seen some of the pictures I've seen.
Oh, maybe they may convert even more. I don't know, but
no, there's some where basically they're just recycling the container for like the framework of the apartment. Okay. But they put windows in it. I mean, it just looks like, it looks like some of those downtown riverfront apartments. Like the color schemes where it's like they have almost like a checkerboard kind of thing going, and they zigzag the crates so that they're going in different directions, and it's really cool looking. So you're getting rid of things that just take up a bunch of space and are kind of like large pieces of garbage when they're not actually used, and you're giving people really affordable living. The only thing I could see being a setback is that once people think that they look cute and they get trendy, then other people would go, oh, well, we can up the price on some of these.
Yeah, well, that's gonna happen with anything, though. I think the problem with housing now is that there's just a lack of supply.
Well,
it's just not profitable for developers to make affordable housing. It's more profitable for them to make luxury housing.
Well, okay. When you're saying luxury versus affordable, yes, of course. But also part of the problem is that, I mean, for instance, when I was a kid, I remember my family always rented our houses. How often do you see a house up for rent anymore?
Oh, all the time if you look for it.
Really? I don't see houses up for rent. I see them for sale.
I haven't actually looked, so I don't know.
Just whenever I see a sign, it's for sale. Whenever I look, because I was looking for a while, they're all for sale. And if you find one that's for rent and you actually try and there was one time I tried to look into one that I saw for rent. And when I got there, the neighbors were looking at me and my roommate what are you guys doing exactly? And we're like, oh, well, we saw a posting for this house. And the neighbor was like, no, I know my neighbor pretty well. They're not looking to move or anything. And I'm like, so you think, and I mentioned that the person who had gotten back to me was a man, and they're like, no, there's just an older woman that lives there.
Oh, wow. That's
and we were
weird.
like, does she have a son or something that might be going on that, whatever you may not know about? And she's like, I don't think so. And so I put in a report on the posting to say that I thought it was fraudulent. The next day it was back up and tried to report it as fraudulent again, and the site wouldn't let me.
Oh, well then, I don't know. Maybe.
No, because it was really sketchy. It was part of why we even went out there, because the guy was like, "Well, I'm out on mission, but I'm looking to sell my place because I'm not looking to come back anytime soon," and blah blah blah. Like he was a scam, because he was almost asking for the money before anything.
Okay.
No, we went out there because we wanted to see what was the house looking like. Why was it so affordable? Because it was like $500 or $600 a month. It was a little house. I mean, it was not. It was probably 1 or 2 bedroom house. But we wanted to see, like, is the person there or somebody there that we can even talk to? And yeah, no, the union or the neighborhood, the neighbor seemed very, sorry, the word union on my screen suddenly caught my eye. But the neighbor was pretty insistent that she was like a retired old lady and that she was not looking to move. So we let her know that we may not be the only people who kind of come out here. And if she noticed too many times, maybe she could help her neighbor out, because it seemed like somebody was insistent on using her property as a scam.
That's scary. I had no idea that kind of stuff went down in Salem.
Yeah. And it was just a tiny little house. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was like a little cottage almost. And even like I see places where the biggest problems I find is that I can't find places that are pet friendly, and when they are pet friendly, they're usually 30% more than the other place. So you have the place that wasn't pet friendly going for like $900 to $1,000, and then you have the pet friendly and they're like looking at $1,200.
Man, that's outrageous.
And what I think is, because I pay a pet rent, what I think it is that they just incorporate the pet rent into their cost.
Yeah.
Without telling, like, instead
so
of telling
there's no pet rent. It's just
there's no. Yeah, it's just in the rent.
In the price, yeah.
But still, like, I always get really frustrated because my cat is so good about everything. I'm like, I would be able to live pretty nice if some of these places would not assume that my cat's gonna destroy and pee on everything. Like, she's so good. The only thing she scratches on that I get annoyed with is she scratches my box spring. But I mean, yeah, and the thing is, there is some regulation to the cost of housing and everything. But for instance, I have a friend, she lives over in like the Lebanon Sweet Home, across from Albany kind of area, and her rent this fall is going up in one movement $140.
Oh my gosh, that's outrageous.
I asked her when her apartment was built, and I think she either said late 80s or early 90s. So it's considered fairly new, even though looking back, that's 30 years.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But that's what we still consider more modern housing. And it's like a 3-level apartment complex. So she's got, I think she said she's on the 3rd floor, so she only has people under her. But there are some people there that would have both neighbors under them and neighbors above them. They would have both ends of the, I have
noise.
To be quiet for the people under me, but I also have people over me who don't care.
Yeah.
And and I do believe that we need to be willing to live in smaller spaces. I mean, I don't want to live in smaller space than I have, but I live in a pretty condensed space.
Well, I mean, that's American lifestyle is unsustainable. We consume way too many of the world's resources. And so as the more of the world becomes middle class, they too try to match Americans' standard.
Oh god, yeah, they're trying to match us.
Yeah, and it's unsustainable. We can't do it. So like that's why the planet's like buckling. We need to. So the number one enemy of the environment is like Americans, the American lifestyle.
I believe in going more the Japanese route, where everything gets smaller and cuter, but somehow also has more uses. I'm being very general there. It is a joke. But there is sort of a thing about Japanese design that they often go compact, kind of cute, but then it has like features that you wouldn't expect. Like they have those little pill hotels where basically all you get is
capsule hotel.
Yes, the capsule hotels where it's basically like a bed, and I think like there's shelving in the pod that
I've been in it. Yep, I've been in those.
Oh, I have not.
Yep, I've done it in Osaka and in Tokyo. And
yeah.
The one in Tokyo I went to, I think was built in the 80s. So.
Yeah, I mean they've been around for a while, and that's the thing is that and I'm sure we're rubbing off on them too but there's also so little space, so they know that they have to try and like pack all the people in. But yeah, going back to policy, it's disheartening when people revert back to the outward physical
well, it's a shortcut.
Things.
It's a shortcut because maybe they don't have the time or the energy to go research all the policies and stuff like that.
And those are the people that
they don't have the time. They're busy.
No, those are the people. Well, I'm a busy person. I'm tired all the time, but
yeah, how are your kids doing?
I like to
Oh, that's right. Okay.
No, I mean that's a tough subject to even bring up because it's not even always about choice. Sometimes it's just I made the choice a long time ago to be very forthcoming, where I decided that unless I ever met somebody that I felt I could actually trust to raise a family with me and not abandon me at some point when it got too hard, then I just wasn't going to do a family. And now, when I'm looking at the future and the environment, then I'm really like, yeah, I don't need to be looking... No, I don't need to be feeling bad. Like, I feel bad for everybody's kids, but I don't need to be, like, raising a kid with the underlying dread that no matter how much I try, other people don't care about them. Like, it's hard enough to think about, like, hey, guess what? Almost nobody, like, I
didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up to talk about childlessness. I'm just saying that, like, for people, some people don't have time to research positions because, like, they're dealing with kids and a bunch of other stuff. And I know
those people, but also I would say to those people, don't you think things might be easier dealing with your kids based on people's policies?
No, because by the time those policies get enacted, their kids will be gone, like grown up.
Like the one thing that I could kind of be like, that's a cool idea. I wouldn't make my whole platform off of it, but it was an okay thing to bring up and bring to the discussion. Was Gillibrand's focus on basically the family and being able to not feel crushed by your obligations to support your family and actually having and raising the family. The biggest, like, have you ever encountered a childcare bill?
No, but yeah, you're right. Childcare is like outrageous. It's not even worth working.
No, there are a lot of people where they're like, well, as long as somebody else is making money, it's less cost for me to stay home with the kids.
Yeah. Yep.
Send them to somebody to care for them.
Yeah, while I go to work. Yeah, that way when we're both exhausted.
No, I know somebody, they actually just started working with the daycare that their kids were going to. I've heard of people where it's like $600 a day per kid. So even if you have more than one kid, it's not like there's
$600 a day? What? That's ridiculous. But yeah, like childcare is outrageous.
I'm sorry. $600 a week. But yeah, no, definitely.
But still, even that's outrageous. $600 a week.
That's why it was more cost effective for her to stay home.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of ways that we could strengthen the family, and not tying healthcare to jobs is one great way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Especially when jobs are constantly trying to cut your dependence.
Mm-hmm.
I say with we're not in the same place, but a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Because that was one thing they were trying to do to us. I don't know about maybe your division, maybe they weren't, but to my section, they were talking about maybe having to cut dependents off the health plan, and then they were then they were super happy they didn't. We were able to keep it. I mean, it doesn't impact me personally, but it was something that they were able to keep. But that was something they were even considering taking away, as like, oh, you work here, you get health care, but we don't want to extend it to your kids. Yeah.
I mean, it's so dumb that healthcare is tied to employment, because that gives so much power to your employer.
Yeah, because then they can start also. I mean, look at us. It is considered part of our overall compensation.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Whereas there are some private jobs, there's less, it's harder to come by, but there are some private jobs where you'll get a higher income and you'll get health care. It's very hard to come by, but it happens. And what if we just all had it and we didn't have to worry about it?
Yeah, then
the jobs would actually have to start just compensating us to our pockets directly.
Yes. So instead of
retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That money's got to get used for something.
I mean, I know so many people, they don't even consider retirement. But guess what? On the flip side, when they can't consider retirement, other people can't get anywhere in their jobs because nobody's leaving their jobs.
Yes.
I mean, it's just there's
people would love to retire, but they can't because they need the extra little bit of money, or they need the insurance or whatever.
There's a whole tree of issues, and it sits at the top of a hill, and there are so many people who don't even want to climb the hill to even look at all the branches of problems. I'm getting all metaphor, allegory. but yeah, I know that so many people, and and who knows, maybe to some degree there's also a little bit of distraction from this whole impeachment thing.
What do you mean?
I always feel a little bit of concern what's being talked about him in his administration. What's the other thing that people might be talking about instead if they weren't so busy talking about
fixated
him?
On him?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I think right now we might be in a slower period, but I know that as far as like news, like I think
we're not in a slow period. It's
no,
insane.
But I'm saying I think this is the topic. I don't think that there's necessarily a back burner topic that we're ignoring that we should be talking about for once. There's so many other times where he's taken up like, this oxygen is going on, and there's totally something else that we need to be looking at. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish that sometimes things like this could just happen, like the investigation, and it just happen. Like, let's just like the people who are doing it, you focus on it, you just do it, and then let us know.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen.
I know it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because we have a 24-hour news, system where people got to know something. And if there's nothing to talk about, then guess what? We're going to talk about these people on social media that the only reason you know them is because a lot of people follow them on social media.
Oh, okay. So wait. Wait. So there's this guy. Do you know who PewDiePie is?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think PewDiePie... Oh, what? What do you think of PewDiePie?
I mean, it's kind of complicated because when he first started coming out and he was like the top thing, I was like, he doesn't have because I take it as a persona. I don't necessarily think he acts that way all the time. But I'm like, he's not presenting a persona that I want to watch all the time, so I didn't really get the popularity. And then with all the things that started happening and the things he was saying and the posts that he was making and the videos where it was like, hey, newsflash, that's not even necessarily funny, that's just uncomfortable and offensive.
Borderline racist.
Well, yeah, especially with the comment, because to me, I don't think you can just blurt that out unless you use it. Like, you're not just like, I'm mad in this game, and suddenly, like, for instance, an example I'll use for myself. I cannot imagine getting upset in a game and then suddenly shouting the F word. For
the F word? You couldn't? Because I do.
I'm saying for
all sorts of words.
I'm saying the slur for gay people.
Oh, okay.
Like, I could not see myself, because I don't use that word. That word is really, like, it's really nasty to me. It feels nasty in the vocabulary. So I don't say it, and I couldn't see myself just blurting it out because I'm upset. Like, you're an F. Like, I couldn't just see myself doing that. If he said what he said, that tells me he's just said it casually on his own off stream. So that was what made that whole thing. It wasn't even just necessarily that he called somebody that in the middle of the game while he was angry at him, like, dude, that's not cool. No, to me it was more, that's not just a reactionary word. Yeah, that's something that has to come a little more naturally to you as something you say to people who upset you. Not necessarily
Well,
saying...
okay, so the reason why I bring up PewDiePie, the reason why I bring him up...
Well, I just wanted to say, not necessarily saying that he gets upset at black people. I'm just saying he definitely had used that word.
Okay. So, recently... Okay, you know what, the Christchurch shooting, right?
And it was his donation. Yeah,
and he rescinded it. He took it back.
Oh, did he?
He took it back. He was going to donate to the ADL, and then his Nazi fans were like, boo, boo, the ADL is no good. You don't donate to them. And then so PewDiePie took back his donation. And then when he announced that he took back his donation, he was wearing a shirt with a cross on it, and he said, this cross is not the Nazi cross. This cross is from Hungary. But in Hungary, there's a far right nationalist movement that's taking place right now. So he's in essence he's lending support to the far right national by wearing that, and also he's promoting he's using plausible deniability to hide behind his.
Well, at this point, he probably feels his persona is to push buttons. Like, I bet he didn't get a whole lot of coverage for the nice donation. And so now he's doing something else to get himself noticed more.
No, I think. Well,
I'm not saying some of that's not his actual belief, but I think really putting it out there the way he does, I think he knows the attention he's going to get, both getting certain followers. Because come on, why would you even joke about that stuff when you know there are people that are serious that will like you for that? So you want those people because
he does it for the clicks, for the Nazi clicks.
You can't necessarily joke about dressing up as a Nazi soldier when you know that there are people who are going to be like, yeah, I like that, I like that you did that, that are totally serious. I wouldn't want those people to feel emboldened by me. So he definitely knows about that, but I think he also knows that it's the media will talk about me more when I do something
controversial. What's his name tried to do that? Kanye West. I think he that's his strategy, is to do something controversial right before an album drop.
Kanye's also black. The ceiling is a little bit lower, let's be honest.
Well, it's different.
It's different.
But the thing is, what Kanye said was also in support of white supremacy. A lot of it.
Yeah, which he's not gonna get a whole lot of white supremacists to like him for that. That's the thing. That's the ceiling, is that he can. And I don't know what you're talking about comments wise. I'm just saying whatever he did that may have shown that kind of leaning, he's not. I mean, if people think he's inferior, they're not gonna like. They're not gonna be like, oh well, he's one of us now. It's not like
he blamed black people for slavery. But then again, I think someone gave him a talking to, and then he's like, all right, never mind, I understand.
No, that's an older thing, and what he was basically saying was that.
He's a Trump supporter.
Well, but it's more than that. He was being really stupid, because what it kind of came down to, in my interpretation, was that he was suggesting that black people get in a mindset where they accept slavery and they accept their shortcomings. And so he was kind of like, hey, you know what? Those people that were enslaved for so many years, I mean, that sounds to me like a choice, which I think was his way of saying they didn't try hard enough to get free. That's what I think he was saying. And
man, that hurts just listening.
That's what he said though. He was like, yeah, 250 something years of slavery. To me, that sounds like a choice. That's what he had said.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But back to PewDiePie. All right.
Why? Because slavery's too hard of a topic.
No, because I brought this up. I don't know how we went off in Kanye, but it started with PewDiePie.
You brought him up.
I mentioned Kanye, but I want to bring the focus back to PewDiePie because, I called out PewDiePie on Twitter, not on Twitter, but I called some other streamer dude. Gave a shout out to PewDiePie.
Up PewDiePie.
And I mentioned on this other streamer gave a shout out to PewDiePie, and then I mentioned on his Twitter that PewDiePie is kind of a right wing guy, and this streamer tried to say that the only reason why I'm taking shots at PewDiePie is to gain followers, and I'm like, what? Have you seen my content? Have you seen, do you even know what you're talking about? And what this guy did by accident was reveal what he was doing, which was trying to get followers by attaching his name to, PewDiePie.
That's
projection.
No, that's really common.
Yeah.
Like almost half of the people out there. Excuse me. Half the people out there that are popular via more social media than for instance, an actor or anything like that. They're I would say half of them are looking at somebody else when they make their moves. So they're either emulating or they're trying to be the anti, or sometimes maybe they're just trying to blend different ideas that they like from different people. But I feel like most of it is somebody looking at somebody else when they kind of put together their thing.
Well, yeah, we're always getting we're always being inspired by.
But I mean, there are people that are like, hey, this person's popular. What would make me popular? Bringing them up. Not just, hey, I want a game like they game, but actually trying to both build themselves up but tear that other person down for what they do to get their popularity.
Is that what I'm doing right now?
No, because I don't think you're trying to appeal to a similar base, and it's not like you're putting his name in your headline or anything. If you don't put him in your description or your tags,
I did on one of them, but only because I was calling him out specifically in that show.
I don't know, because you're also talking about some of it. What you're talking about is much older, so it's not like you're trying to ride the craze of the topic.
No, I mean, it kind of pissed me off that with 100 million followers, he's gonna he's gonna change his behavior to suit Nazis.
Yeah, succumb to that group of people who may follow him.
Yeah.
Or even try and focus on them as a fan base. But that's interesting because I never heard that he retracted it, and I follow some news sources that they would bring up things like PewDiePie, and they haven't brought that up.
Yep.
When was it? Because you didn't mention when it was.
Oh, maybe a couple weeks ago.
Really? Because I only heard.
Just type PewDiePie ADL donation. PewDiePie ADL donation. Yeah, I'm pretty sure PewDiePie is crypto Nazi. but he's doing it for the clicks. I don't think he's a diehard. Which means he can change his behavior.
That's interesting, because I swore the last thing I ever heard about it was the donation, and that person, I usually trust certain people to like update when things like this happen, to be like, hey, remember that really nice story I was telling you a couple days ago? Well, now it's this story. Yeah, that's I'm really like, I can see where some people go, oh, well, this charity, donation, group, whatever, don't always do everything they set out to do, and therefore people sometimes hold them to like the standard of, well, then they're failing. But to me, it's like, you can't really go wrong with the Anti-Defamation League.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like, oh yeah, no, not 100% of the donations to the WWF actually go to conservation, but enough of it does that why would you suddenly go, don't donate to them? It's like,
so the excuse I heard was that because the ADL doesn't acknowledge the Armenian genocide, so that's why he doesn't want to donate. And I'm like, I don't know, that sounds kind of like a cop-out, but...
That sounds like taking something, and I don't know about it, so it's nothing to say about that event, but it sounds like taking something so obscure, because that would definitely, it sounds to me like something obscure, and deciding that it matters. Not that it matters, period. I'm pausing because I'm thinking, not leaving it there. But just that it matters to the people who are actually even bringing it up, which it probably
so
doesn't.
You're saying it's done in bad faith?
I think so.
It's a bad faith argument, and I agree.
Yeah. I think it's people taking something just very obscure and going, hey, not enough people are paying attention to this.
Yeah, so, it's a bad faith argument. I agree with you.
Yeah. There's so much of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey.
Yeah, I was looking.
We've been going for almost 2 hours, so I think we're gonna. I want to end the show here.
Yeah.
Impeachment. The impeachment's only gonna get crazier, everyone in America. So please tune in. Roguish Bard, I really enjoy when you hang out. We should do this more often. I should buy you the game so you can hang out with me.
Oh.
So
I don't know. I'd be bad.
No, you can't be bad at Minecraft.
I know you were gonna say like you can't be bad. It's like I would just wander around not knowing what to make.
And that's fine. I could make things around you, and you could be the audience of the things I make, because that's the other side, right? Like I made this great big world, but no one can really check it out. So it's like, oh.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, certainly. And then America, I'll check you out on my next normal time on Sundays. And yeah, until then, peace. PoGokeRo out. Stop.